There we are. Okay,
We're live again. Here we are, Wednesday night.
It is Wednesday night. It happens so fast.
I think, like I told you last week, I think there's 3 Wednesdays in a week.
Dallas, I swear to God, I left here I feel like I left here an hour ago. We were talking about doing an AHRA channel.
That's right.
Right, and boom, here we are again.
Yeah, I know.
The whole week just disappeared.
Well, you were sick, right?
I'm still sick.
Were you down in the bed?
No, this is as down as I get.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
just a little slower than
power
normal.
through. Yeah, it's hard for me to make videos because I can't talk.
Oh, right.
And it's coughing and
hold on, Kathy.
Right. So, I'm sniffling.
Is she better?
Yeah. Everybody's getting better. All right, we got Vargan Good, Jerry Franks, Jason Fitch, Michael Reese, Ruckwarts, John Trudell. What's happening, brother man? Calls me his cult leader.
I know.
Isn't that awesome? Thank you, John. I appreciate that. For love, right? Jason's Garage, Made Muscle, Matt S. Okay, Felice Concor, Mexican American, Dakota's timeout. What's happening, Dakota? I still got your closet ready, waiting for you at the shop, man.
Yeah, you're gonna get timed out.
Yeah,
for real.
OHI, Tony, thanks. I got my 72 slinger running this week. I appreciate you. Ari, what's happening, brother man? Danny Boyd. Oh man. Okay, Zero. Fubar.
Everybody's here.
All the heavyweights are here now.
Yeah, right? I know.
The gang is all assembled.
We're back together again. As they said, the Blues Brothers, we're putting the band back.
We're putting the band back together again.
Yeah.
Let's see. Scott Coffey, thanks for the info on the torsion bars. You're welcome, my brother. Paul Capozzola says the de-evolution video is running. Did you see that video I did?
I did. I actually did. I just got done watching it probably 5:30, I think.
Am I right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. You remember we had this discussion when you first met me.
That's right.
We got to take it backwards is the only way that you're going to be able to afford to do it.
That's the truth. Stephen Pastor, what's happening?
Man, what's happening?
Devo. Scott Coffey, one of the best channels on YouTube. Thank you, brother. Devo. Remember Devo?
I do.
Right?
Whip it.
Did you ever hear the long version of Jocko Homo?
No.
Really?
No.
It's like 45 minutes long.
What kind of music were they considered? Was it pop or
post-punk alternative new wave?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty long name.
Well, that was the era, man. That was the era. There was a lot of bands that fit into that category, the
Cure.
Heads,
the Cure, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't even think right now. But there were a bunch of bands that fit. Mongoloid, bro. Yeah, Zero. That's like Devo's best song, man. Mongoloid. Jim Massey loves the channel. Thank you.
Greg McDonald says he feels that the Miata might be in the process of being painted.
Yeah. I plan on painting it too.
Dude, what color are you going to go?
B5.
B5 blue?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, electric blue.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I'm thinking about putting thin racing stripes on it. To go for that whole cliche thing.
Oh, you mean right down the center, huh?
Yeah. I want
a Cobra.
I want a white circle for a number.
Uh-huh.
Someplace on the side of the car.
Right.
Before we do it all across. And put
you can throw your numbers on there.
Yeah, and then a thin white stripe down down the one side of the car. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. B5 does look good on everything. Let's see. Well, apparently like Devo's songs. No, Devo was good, man. Fubar just put the link to ahraonline.com.
Yep. Go there, join, buy some merch, or both. Hey, I saw you were talking about Holdner's video today.
Yes.
That brings me back to something that we talked about 2 months ago, maybe. We need to do an easy 302, right? Use the crank out of a 265 4.3 LT1 motor.
Okay.
Put it in a later model roller cam truck block use like an LT1 hot cam.
But do you have all of these things?
No, but we could junkyard most of it. It's pretty easy to come by, and it makes 302 cubic inch.
We have to put it in something though.
A dyno. I think it'd be badass because it'd throw some Vortec heads at it and have like a 90s style easy 302.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Let's see, B5 of the world. Yeah. Plum Crazy. No, man, Plum Crazy it's too cliche of a car. Varkin Good, looking forward to you live with David Vizard.
Oh,
so
you're gonna live with them?
Yeah.
That seems like a carburetor guru.
He's an everything guru. David Vizard is the guy
Intake manifold guru.
You know people who do dynos and stuff like that?
Right.
Well, he's the guy who invented those dynos.
Right. Oh.
So yeah. Definitely David Vizard next Monday night, the Monday the 7th. Let's see. Jason Fitch, make Bottle Rocket a motor test mule with a 302 idea. Oh, I don't want to throw a Chevy motor on there, man. Steven Pistori.
You did want to do a car where you could do like Velcro motors, right?
You're right. Yeah. Well, I wanted to do that with the Valiant,
Uh-huh.
but somebody's going to do it with me because I don't have the time.
Yeah, the time.
You know what I'm saying? I have the space.
Yeah.
I have the money. I have the knowledge. I have the parts. I don't have the time. I can only do so many things myself.
Right.
You know?
Yep. No, I understand that. I'm definitely short on time myself. But hey, this winter though, once the racing season slows down, I won't be on the road all that much, and I'll get back to doing normal stuff. So we might be able to crank something cool like that out. I think Velcro motor car is a cool name. Like you just peel back the Velcro and pull the motor out.
Let's see.
I don't like to bastardize things. I like to make things Buick powered because there wasn't enough things Buick powered.
Have them locate a car for a 302 idea. Well, we're gonna do a Buick. We're doing a Buick block video tomorrow. We're gonna do the Buick big block inside the Buick big block. We're gonna do a deep dive on that because it's a fascinating engine, and nobody ever actually gets inside of these things and shows the differences between them all. So we're gonna do that tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Nick the storekeeper. Why do Chevy guys convert to Mopar but not the other way around? I'm one of them.
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I've never been a Chevy guy. To be honest with you, I've had a Chevy. It was the worst running piece of junk I had. I just could not, it ate the main bearings out of it the first time I started it up. And but I just never had any luck with a Chevrolet. We always used to joke about them, like there were so many parts available that my mom could build one in a sandbox that ran 9s at the quarter.
Here's the thing, right? I've had Chevys. I've had numerous Chevys over the years. I've worked on a countless number of Chevys, and I hot rodded a couple of them, right? And I find nothing wrong with Chevys. I can't find any fault with them, other than they're bland, right? It's hard to explain.
Well, I look at it as like, okay, the American mantra is you root for the underdog, right? And the underdog is not Chevrolet. It's not. It's plastered on everything. I'm sure there's a Chevrolet porta potty out there somewhere, right? Like a real one. But you never see. It's always the AMCs, the Mopars, the ones that the guys, when they get hooked on them, they're stuck on them, right?
Yeah, but Chevys, there's no real sizzle. Like the stuff is good. The stuff is good. I can't take anything away from it, right?
Uh-huh.
But there's no. It's like, I can explain it to you. It's like a hot rod Chevy is like an Amish version of a Mexican dinner. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh wow, there's something missing.
There's something missing there. It just doesn't. It just doesn't.
Pop.
Exactly. And there are some exceptions to that. There are some exceptions, but they're kind of few and far between. Drag Boss, what's happening? Crazy Swede, why is the 340 so good, or is it? I like your channel. It's all in the cylinder heads, man. Well, it's all over the place. They're good. I did a video. Yeah, there's so many things to love about the 340. We're all small block Mopars. Unity Motorsports. Tis Andy.
I know. Did you see his new video? about
not.
porting the tunnel ram. He actually ported a tunnel ram in a video on like high speed.
Did he?
Matter of fact, that same tunnel ram I got over there,
Okay.
the Cleveland style, the 1994
Yeah.
Wine. That's he got one of those.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. So yeah, if you want to learn how to port a tunnel ram, Unity Motorsports Kawasaki. Actually, I'm sure the information would apply to all intake manifolds. But yeah, latest there on Andy's channel, Unity Motorsports Garage.
Yeah, he's got it broke up into two parts where he just port matches the upper, and now he's going to port match it to the heads in the second part. But he's going to have to add epoxy in to get the ports directed toward the cylinder head ports.
Okay, I'll check it out tonight when we're done here. Drag Boss, thank you, man. Thank you very much. Drag Boss is making sure the wheels keep turning here.
That he is.
Yeah.
Oh man, you were supposed to take me out to lunch last week. We got that on video. We got that on video.
I was supposed to take you out to lunch?
Yeah, I totally forgot about it. I'm not lying.
Oh, shit. I'll take you to lunch. Where do you want to go?
It's all right. What do you want to eat?
Oh, whatever you want, bro.
Well, I know you like Sammy's. Well, that was just the Sammy's the other day.
Okay, we'll go to Sammy's. I'll tell you what. Tomorrow morning we'll shoot the Buick video and we'll go to Sammy's.
Okay.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Oh, let's see. There you go, lunch. Thank you, Drag. Yeah, Drag Boss bought us lunch.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now he has to, Jason Fish says, now he has to take you to dinner. No, you take us to dinner, Jason. Brian M., I meant to drop by on Saturday, but that naked chicken chalupa box left me for 3 days. The naked chicken chalupa. Do you know the naked chicken chalupa?
I've never had one.
Oh, bro.
Maybe we should do that. Taco Bell.
Oh, God. They're so ridiculous. It's like, and they take them away from you. Right? Taco Bell does this to you. They introduce this thing, and it's like, okay, the naked chicken chalupa. It's magic. The fucking thing is magic. Okay, they introduce it. They get you hooked on it. When they first came out, I was eating naked chicken chalupas like 6 days a week. You know, lunch and dinner. Like, it was it. Like, and then all of a sudden it was gone.
Oh, they do it like the McRib. Oh.
I drove all over the city. Right, every Taco Bell, trying to find somebody that had leftover naked chicken chalupas. They're all gone.
No bueno.
Yeah, they're back now.
Oh man.
Lollipops for dinner. Who's getting a gasket? What are we talking about? They need to bring back the volcano sauce.
Ruckwarts. I don't know if we're going to dive into the heads, the Buick heads. We're definitely going to go into the blocks. I got 3 of them here, actually kind of disassembled. But and they're all 3 different variants, so it's a 400, 430, and a 455.
Yeah, we'll do the heads on another time, but the blocks first. It could get to a really intense video, so let's do the blocks first, and then
I'm fine with that.
In a few weeks we'll do the heads.
Wild Rose Garage is asking Tony Dallas, how many RPM is a stock HEI GM ignition module good for?
6,000 reliably.
I've heard anywhere between 5,500 to 6,500. Anything over that, they're just not very reliable.
Yeah. I would say if you got a good one, average, I'd say it's going to be reliable to $6,000. It's going to be right there in that range. And it's the same thing with the Mopar control boxes, like the orange box and stuff. They're pretty reliable to around 5,500 to 6,000. And the cheapy, the Chinese knockoffs that they've been selling, those things are good to like 4,000 RPM. And then after that, they just start
missing and popping and carrying on.
Yeah.
So JR and WV says, hey, Tony, did you ever mess with the Holley TBI 318s? I know Holley had a hand in designing and building GM throttle bodies, and I wonder how similar the Mopar setup was.
I never messed with them. I worked on them. I repaired them as regular cars in service, but no, I never did any hot rod work with them at all.
All right. Jonathan Lai says, hey, Uncle Tony, I bought a 77 possibly truck engine 318. It has flat top pistons. Would those be stock or aftermarket? Thanks.
Well, they're all flat tops. The question is, how far down the hole is it? The stock 318 piston is going to be flat top, and it's going to be 130 thousandths down the hole. So if it's less than that, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
If it's less than that, then, you know.
Well, I measured that Buick, and it was 59 thousandths, and I'm like, oh my God, this thing's going to ping like mad. Right? 130 thousandths, geez. Oh,
Let's see.
Vorkin Good says he loves your Stuart Warner 6K taco in the Miata.
Right? I had that in my GT. The guy, the problem was the guy, you know that Ford, that 65 F250, the guy, we got it running, and that tack was sitting in the dashboard. And he says, "What are you going to do with that tack?" He says, "Do you want it?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "I'm just going to put the stock stuff back in. I don't want the tack." So he gave it to me. So it was messy. It was filthy, right? I had overspray everything. So I spent like an hour cleaning it up really nice. And I cleaned it up beautiful. And I says, "If this thing works, you know, it's ridiculous." I plug it in, and sure as shit, it works. So I stuck it in my GT, and I've been driving around on my GT for the last couple of weeks. And then I'm looking at the Miata, and I says, "Man, you know, it needs something that's just like so 1960s. You can't." The SW tack, so I threw it in there.
Yeah. You need to throw some more Stuart Warner gauges in there. Do you have any more?
No, but as I come across them, I'll replace the ones that are in there.
Swap me them.
Yeah.
Oh, Mopar Man 78 says every time Taco Bell comes out with a new combo, it reminds me of the SNL commercial of Taco Town and the 10 different layer taco that includes pizza inside.
Doug Gordon is here. There's no fear. The Dogster is here.
Is he the guy that blames squirrels? Who's the guy that
No,
blames
that's John Woodworth.
Oh.
Blames squirrels. Let's see.
Oh, well, Neil Whitmore's asking, hello, how much does a vacuum advance, slow down to 318 in a quarter mile?
It doesn't. It doesn't, because as long as your foot's in it and you're at wide open throttle, the vacuum advance isn't advancing.
It's not functional.
Yeah.
Yep. So it works off a vacuum, and when you got the gas to the floor, you have zero vacuum.
Right. Now, one of the reasons why we disconnect them on a hot rod engine is because if you bring a total advance, let's say to 36 degrees,
the total
35,
number
36
you want,
degrees, the total number you want, and then you add the vacuum advance on top of that at a cruise, the motor gets all unhappy. It starts missing and like surging and stuff like that. So you just leave it disconnected and be done with it.
What do you recommend for sealing header bolts on Mopar Big Block Wedge?
I don't use anything.
Are they blind?
Yeah.
There's no reason. Yeah, there's no reason.
Oh no, they're not blind. It's open to a water jacket.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, and a lot of guys use sealer and stuff like that. I don't use anything. I just tighten the bolt and be done with it.
Let her rip, huh?
Let her rip. I've never had one leak.
Is a windage tray needed with a deep sump pan? Asked Doug Nart.
Yes and no. It's not as effective with a deep sump pan, but it still cuts the cloud, because that cloud that gets wrapped up in picture this now, right? Crank is spinning 5,000, 6,000 RPM. There is a cloud of oil that's spinning with the crankshaft. As it's rotating, it doesn't understand the direction down. It doesn't necessarily want to fall in gravity, because it's being whipped by wind and the rest of windage. It's being whipped around in a circle. Well, the windage tray cuts that off, right? So the windage tray actually tells that oil that's spinning with the crankshaft, here's your exit, right? Yeah. Go down. So that's why.
All right. So let me be frank. Says Uncle Tony, my Blue Streak condenser died in my '68 Polara 383 after 300 miles. What is a good brand to replace it with? I think you did a video on this. Isn't the Napa brand?
Yeah, well, the points. The Eklund points. Yeah, I've swapped a couple of my cars over to the Eklund points, and I haven't. And I checked them. In fact, I just checked the GT the other day, and they haven't moved an ounce. They're right. It hasn't moved to 1,000. But I don't have a recommendation for condensers. Anytime I'm at a swap meet or a junkyard or anything like that, I see old condensers, I grab them. You know what I mean? And so I've got a bunch of old condensers, because I'm done with playing condenser roulette.
Oh, are they all popping? It's just a capacitor. Are they all made in China now? Is that the problem?
If I was a psychic, I wouldn't be doing this stuff.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Chris Greenaway asked Tony how to build a shifter assembly. I bought an OEM ratchet assembly housing. Could I just put the regular automatic shifter assembly guts and put it together?
Oh man,
I don't know. Is that a Mopar thing?
I have no idea what he's talking about. I bought an OEM ratchet assembly housing. Could I just put the regular automatic shifter assembly guts and put it together? I don't know.
Chris, we need some more details.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Thrash metal and fun riffs says, UTG.
77 Firebird shifter. Okay, Curtis Rudolph. Do crank scrapers do any good without a window straight in a slant 6? Crank scraper in a slant 6 is a very bad idea. And the reason for that is because the camshaft, the lifters and everything are only oiled by splash. There's no oil galley that runs above the lifters on that engine. So the lobes don't get any oil from the top as you'd have let's say in a V8, where the
It'd be drain back, yeah.
they're drain back, right? But you don't have that on a slant 6. So the only lubrication the camshaft gets is from what you would cut away with a crank scraper. So I wouldn't recommend. I mean, a crank scraper would probably be okay in a race only engine, but I would not recommend it in something that you can actually put some miles on. Let's see.
Oh, Mopar Man 78 says Joe's Distributor Repair on Facebook buys up NOS distributor parts, including points and condensers. Talk to him; he's a Mopar guy, and that would kind of explain why. I guess everybody's doing that too. But I wanted to rebuild HEI. It's got a little plastic thing that holds the grease in the center of the distributor, right? Which lubricates the shaft. You couldn't get it. You cannot get that sucker anywhere. I searched and found guys making them, right? But nobody could tell me where to get one. Nobody could tell anybody where to get one. And I ended up finding one on eBay.
That's something that you could probably have for you printed, no?
Oh, I'm sure you could. I just am totally surprised that those little plastic pieces weren't available. Also, the plastic wear buttons inside the HEI with your weights right on them.
Yep.
Can't get them. I ordered an MSD distributor rebuild kit, and it had the plastic ones in there, and I modified them to fit a HEI. But they're hard as heck to find now these days.
Let's see.
Chris Greenway's looking for Pontiac parts. You were looking at the wrong place, buddy.
Chris Greenway, he lives in his own world, I think. I love this guy. Yeah, it depends on what temp you need those 3D printed parts to do this scan. Not much. It's actually inside the distributor.
180 degrees.
Yeah, 180 degrees max. Steve Biko, what's happening, brother?
Matt Mazzone says, I have an 86 Grand National, just put GN heads, Harlan Sharp rockers, and performance lifters. One lifter was bad. I've adjusted the valves twice. Still loud ticking. Need help.
Oh, Matt, there's nothing we can help you with there, my friend. Short of actually coming to your place and taking the motor apart, there's really nothing we can do.
Yeah, there's been a bit rash of bad lifters, and I'm assuming that the roller ones are, they use the same internal parts as a hydraulic flat tapping can, pretty much.
Yeah, but he could also have an issue where the roller isn't rolling and it's,
Yeah. Those things are very finicky with preload. I do know. Rollers are. And, man, you really got to be on that preload.
The only thing I could, Matt, the only thing I could suggest trying that doesn't include taking the motor apart is I have over the course of life, right, had lifters where the plunger stuck, right? The cup would stick, a brand new lifter, right, where the cup will stick at the bottom, right? If you can identify which one it is, right, take and tap the push rod. Take like a light hammer, okay, and tap on the push rod, and see if you can't get it, because you should feel springy, okay. If you don't feel anything springy, because it's going to be underneath the cup, there's a spring, and then there's the oil, the actual plunger, okay. So you should feel a springiness on the lifter on the push line, push down. If you don't feel springiness, take a light hammer and tap it a bunch of times, right? And see if you can break it loose, because sometimes
Not hard.
Yeah, not hard. But I have had that happen. Had that happen. But that's like the least thing that could be wrong with your setup there. Good luck with it.
I've had, well, okay, so if you aren't aware of the multitude of bad lifters in the world today, right?
It's epidemic.
Right. So when I started building these Buick 455s out of my garage, I sourced an entire engine rebuilder kit of lifters. So it's a bulk order of lifters that you buy.
Okay.
But they're all new old stock stuff from like 1994, right? Perfect. You know, these guys want to unload them. They're at an engine rebuilder shop. They want to get rid of them. No problem. I'll take them off their hands. And that way, you know, the material's good. But what I've noticed is whatever they soak the lifter in to keep it from rusting, over time keeps the lifter from functioning well.
You're right. It gums up over time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, okay, when I put a motor together, I'd prime it. And I wouldn't even look at the lifters because I know there'd be 4 of them collapsed, right? And it's like, okay, this sucks, because I turned the motor over a couple of times and it collapsed the lifters. What I did was I'd prime it, and these things would never come up, and I just let them sit with the intake manifold off and let them sit for like 24 hours. I come back the next day, prime it again, they'd fill right up.
Okay.
And but it had something to do with that.
It's like,
stuff is oil soluble.
It becomes like cosmoline. It's like a fine oil, and then as it sits over time, it becomes kind of like cosmoline. It's not a lubricant, and it's not a liquid anymore. It becomes like a gum.
Right, like a gum, yeah.
Right. That's a possibility. Okay. Okay.
Let's see.
Why don't you just soak it in diesel? You could do that.
I'm sure he doesn't want to tear the whole motor apart, though. Apparently, it sounds like it's together.
Let's see. Rockwarts, why did I build bottle rocket with a 4-speed and non-auto? A bunch of reasons, but mostly because we're working with a low compression 318. And the 4-speed manual transmission, it eats less power. It's less parasitic loss. And also it gives me more options as far as, you set up a car to run with a converter, and you're kind of stuck. Unless you're going to spend another $600 for another converter, you're stuck in that zone, right? You do a cam change, you do a head change, you do an intake change, you do a gear change, and everything changes. The converter is going to be wrong. So with a stick, it allows me to experiment to my heart's content.
Whatever RPM you want.
Any RPM I want, as hard as or as easy as I want. The downside to that is that we've had breakage problems with the car, and 100% of all of the breakage problems have been related to the fact that it's a 4-speed.
But you got to admit, there's nothing cooler than a stick shift car leaving the line. When you dump the clutch, I mean, oh man, it's amazing. I think when we took it down to 318 Fest, the first time you dumped the clutch, there was like 3 girls on the starting line. 2 of them ended up pregnant. That's how awesome it was.
Exactly. So no, it will always be a stick. Unfinished project. What's the best gear I can get for a 7.25 behind a slant? The 410 is the only gear is the deepest gear available for the slant six for the 7.25 that I can find. They used to have like 513s. I didn't, but you could look into the guys who raced these Cub Cadet tractors. Okay, it's like a tractor pull deal.
Yeah,
and those guys, the Cub Cadet guys, put 7.25 rears. They look for 7.25 rears for their tractors. So that might be a good source for gears or short grip units, or look into that. Jason's garage. Dad calls the clutch a variable torque converter, which is exactly what it is.
So, is it Papillon cycles? Papillon cycles.
Yeah.
Break-in oils. I'm only concerned about damage. What do you think about advertised oil versus what I can regularly get at the old store for low prices? Oh man, I forewent this because I got too many on the line when I put one together to sell. Right?
Right.
I go right to the braking oil, and I do it every time. And you've told me, like, hey, man, you can get away with that with just some ZDP, but I don't want to chance it.
I know. There's two schools of thought, like with that. I haven't had any problems that I can direct at oil and say oil was the issue. So I keep doing it my way. But you're absolutely right, because it's just a couple of hours.
Right. It's just cheap insurance.
Cheap insurance.
But what I have found is you can buy it in bulk on Amazon. You can buy braking oil in bulk. So. Richard Holdner says, thanks for sending guys over to watch the 340 versus the world. There is the man, the myth, the legend.
Our pleasure, Richard. He does. If you guys don't know Richard Holdner's channel here, he's absolutely one of the most proficient technical guys in all of YouTube. He does all these dyno tests and really good information. So if you haven't been over there to check out Richard's channel, go there now, subscribe, ring the bell, the whole 10 yards. He's been at this game for a really long time. He only started doing YouTube about a year or two ago. But and his channel's growing like crazy.
Yeah. Well, about a year ago, he was doing the other guys series and was looking for Buick 455 stuff. And I'm like, what do you need, buddy? Because I got nothing but that crap. I need to unload it. But he ended up finding something local because he's out there in California still.
Yeah. So. And Fubar just put up the link to Richard Holdner's channel there. So again, we'll wait here while you go over there and subscribe. Let's see. Vargan Good loves Richard's content too.
Oh, well, Thumper, the sweaty fat guy, says, who is Richard? He's got the coolest screen name today so far.
Thumper, the
sweaty fat guy.
Thumper, the sweaty fat guy. That's perfect. Red, white, and blue video. UTG, I'm addicted to watching this Mazda project. Bro, I'm addicted to the car. I can't stop working on the freaking car. Please, it's becoming a problem, and I mean that sincerely. It's becoming a problem. I can't stop. Richard Tuffelon. Richard Tuffelon. Hey Tony, I'm going through the drum brakes on my '72 Dart. I'm wondering if I should get all new hardware or try to clean and reuse the original stuff. Just go get a hardware kit. They're like $8, right? Any auto parts store. Just go get a hardware kit and save yourself the hassles. And take the old stuff and keep it on the side. In case down the road you break a spring or whatever, you've got an extra spring.
See, Richard Holdner
still sick here.
Richard Holdner is he's jumping up and down. He wants you to boost the Miata.
I'm going to build another Miata. In fact, I told Kathy today. I says, start looking for another Miata. Because
215 Buick.
No, that's going to be a Chrysler motor. Unless you buy it, right? If you want to do a Miata here, we'll put the 215 Buick in it.
No, I can't. I don't have room or time like everyone else.
Yeah. So as I've been working on the Miata, I'm seeing that I love the car in the state that it's evolving to, and I don't want to change it. I want to leave it the way it is. And so instead of altering what I've got, I want to build a second one. And the second one, I'm probably going to boost.
Well, so here, Lobo GTX.
But I told Kathy today, I swear to God, just as I was leaving the house to come here to do this, I told her, I said, start looking for another Miata because I'm going to build another one when we're done with this one.
Oh, and this one, we're going to put a 455 Buick in. Oh, right.
Manja cake. Any Fox Body street racing stories? My life was a Fox Body street racing story. Vargan Good. Why is there different materials for valves? Stainless, chrome, titanium, the Inconel. Okay, there's all different materials for valves because they all do different things. That's Uncle Kathy.
Yeah.
You're going to end up with 50 Miatas. I know it's. I got
the name now. Uncle Miata's Garage.
I would do a Miata channel.
I'm not a big fan of them. They're a small, lightweight car. I think they're cool, and I really like what you're doing.
You're too big for them.
I am way too big.
You're too big for. I'm at the outer limits of what fits on the Miata. But that's good, see, because I never made 6 foot. I never quite made 6 foot.
See,
So when I drive a sitting on the Miata, I feel like a giant.
right. Well,
You know
it's
what I'm
like my whole life, shorter guys have always been envious of the tall guys. And here I was in the Navy, making my head into a canoe with valves along the ship, just carving a hole in my head. And then, the things like I can't Miata, I can't Sportster, right?
Oh, see, and that's the only Harley Davidson I ever had any love for was a Sportster.
And I can't do either one. It's like I'm riding a monkey bike, right? So, I kind of wish I was a little shorter.
Put me out of the bed and paint Plan Z. Relax, Plan Z. I'm still waiting on tires. Your friend Chris is getting me the tires.
Yeah.
He's supposed to call me when they're available, and he hasn't.
He hasn't called
He
you.
hasn't called me yet. I talked to him on the phone.
But he even put them on hold and all that.
Evidently, they're still not.
Really?
I didn't give him the credit card number yet. I says, let me know as soon as you're ready to go. I'll give you the card number. He says, okay. And I haven't heard from him yet. Ape hangers, no man, drag bars. Ape hangers on a Sportster, no, that's so not heterosexual.
Jason
Yeah.
Fitch says, Dallas, I feel your pain. I can't close the doors on a DeLorean. That's terrible.
I put drag bars on everything, man. Drag bars make any bike cool. Doesn't matter what it is. You can have a Honda Rebel, okay? Drag bars make a Rebel cool.
Well, I'll tell you what. The Honda Trail 50s?
Sure.
Oh,
Drag bars.
I've been in love with them things. Well, they're almost drag bars anyway, right?
Right.
But I've been in love with those things from probably like the 70s. And of course, being the kid at the track that was not the, let's say, wealthy one, well, I never got one. Everybody else is running around on 70s and 50s, and it's like, gosh, man, I want one. Now they're priced, you can't afford them.
I know.
I think I saw a new one the other day, and they're still $5,000.
Plan Z doesn't need a gallon of paint weight. Paint doesn't weigh what a gallon of paint weighs. Remember, all of the solvents flash off, and all you're left with is the pigment. So a gallon of paint, let's say a gallon of paint weighs like 8 pounds, 9 pounds. 7 pounds of that just flashes away, and you're left with just the pigment. So it's not.
Oh, Wild Rose Garage says, I love old Brit bikes. Triumph and BSAs are good little bikes for the time. I like the British bikes of the 60s. I do.
So do I. I had 2 Beezers. I had 2 69 A65s. One was stock and one was a chopper.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, the only problem, like anything else British of the era,
Electronic.
The Zener Diode, man. Let me tell you something. Okay, look, I'm gonna say this right up front. I am not a stupid man. Okay, I know a lot of shit about a lot of shit. I have no idea how or what a Zener Diode does, or how it functions, or why.
It only lets electricity pass one direction.
But why the Zener Diode in that?
So it's triggered, and when it's triggered, that's when it allows electricity to pass on a Zener.
So it's like it's like a.
It's like a regular diode. You know how it can only go one way.
Right. I know what a diode is.
All right. It's the same thing,
Okay.
except for it has a trigger that comes in, and that trigger turns it on to allow it to pass.
Like
it's
a
just
relay.
like a valve, like a valve when you
Like
open
a relay.
kind of like a relay. Yeah.
That's what a Zener Diode does. Why couldn't they just use a regular diode?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea how it was set up.
Okay. Or where were we? Let's see. Jason's garage.
I
Like
could
a
have
relay.
actually just put
Okay.
a relay in there. More sense.
Well, now I just learned something. Yeah, I came on our Wednesday night tech talk, and I learned something.
Oh man. Well,
There you go.
good. It's not going to happen often, I'm sure.
It just did. It can happen every day.
No, I doubt that. Flux capacitor, I don't know anything about. That's Emmett Brown, Dr. Emmett Brown.
Jake,
Oh, our Lemons car. I forgot to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to change direction somewhat on our Lemons car.
oh yeah.
Not so much the engine and all that stuff.
Right.
But after watching the video on Old Yeller that Jay Leno did, it gave me this idea. So have you ever heard of the Mercedes Red Pig?
No.
They built a car at Mercedes. It was like their Skunk Works deal, the first AMG thing.
Okay.
To run Le Mans, right? So
this is on what year?
I don't know, 78, 79,
Okay.
80, somewhere around there. It's the Mercedes that everybody thinks of when you think of the diesel, 300D diesel.
Okay.
Right? It's like all the terrorists around the world drive those. So
it kind of has a Studebaker sort of look.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they built a Red Pig, which was their Le Mans beast out of their Skunk Works out of this car. So we thought, why don't we call ours the Old Yeller Pig, right? And make it look like the Red Pig, but it's only painted yellow, kind of like it paying tribute to both cars.
Okay, that's cool. So wait a minute. Richard Holdner is not pretending to be Richard Holdner. No, that's the real Richard Holdner. I recognize his picture.
I recognize his voice in my head.
I can't hear his voice.
I know. I'm just reading his words, and it's like his voice, like, bam, boom, guys, check it out. That's his videos. They're always like that, and he has always like this upbeat. I don't know how to say it. Like very excited. So I love his videos. I watch a lot of them. Trail 90 rules, huh? I'll tell you what rules, that Ameribera 4200 that you did.
Ron Drew has a brand new He had a brand new Kawasaki 500 Mac. So the H1, bro, right? Okay, the 72 H1 was good, right? I had a 69. The 69, okay, when they talk about, seriously, right? And it was the classic deal, right? Peacock white, right, with the little blue stripe. The 69 H1, okay, is the bike, when they call those things the Widowmaker, that's the freaking bike they're talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but I can only imagine.
Oh, you can't. It's just this on-off switch. It's just an on-off switch of sudden violence. There's
is it a two-stroke?
There's calm, yeah, and then there's violence, and then there's calm again, and then more violence, and you never know how it's going to come.
Oh.
It never does the same thing twice. You know what I mean? The
Once you hit the power band on that two-stroke,
I'm telling you, the 69 H1, because people are like, oh, it's H2 to 750. No. They had to detune the H1 so much that they needed to go to the 750 to kind of like make up for it, right? The original,
so you can give you a bike to ride.
Yeah, if you want the maximum Kawasaki triple experience, you can only get it on a 69 H1. Everything else after that is just kind of like watered down a little bit.
Gabriel DeMarco asked, "Hey Dallas, what are you working on lately?" And it's kind of ironic that you asked that, because I'm covered in. I got my car greasy clothes on. My Suburban, the crank is bent, apparently. And it's probably been that way since I put it together, or the block is tweaked or something. But I had to have Tony come over and read the bearings, because they were all kinds of weird.
Weird looking. Well, you said you had to shake the block to get the crank to fall in. So
yeah. So it did something weird to the bearings. I thought it knocked the rear main seal out. I pulled it apart, and I figured, well, while I got it apart, I'll find out what's clattering in it. And come to find out, man, the mains look really screwed up in it.
Need Metal says, I rode a 750 triple a few years ago, slow by today's standards. Well, now, okay, slow is a relative thing, right? A good H2, right? A good 750 H2 is like a bottom 12-second bike, right? Tuned really well, 1190 like that, chambers and carbs, and you can get them in the bottom 11s, right? So yeah, kind of slow by today's standards, right? But it's not the speed; it's the violence. You know, if you've never ridden, people who've never ridden a two-stroke triple, okay, you cannot imagine how sudden these things like. Picture you crack open the throttle, okay, and you've literally got to be doing a handstand on the handlebars to keep the front end down, and they don't try to wheelie like a four-stroke bike. Okay, so I've ridden many modern four-stroke super bikes, right? So as it comes out of power, a four-stroke bike will rise easily, and you shift your body weight forward, and you can maintain the bike's balance, bike's front to back balance. A two-stroke triple, okay, ratchets up, okay. So you come off the clutch, right? You give it some throttle, he goes around and then it lunges, and as it lunges, you try to push down on it, and then it lunges again, and then it lunges again. And it's like, there's no way to maintain a balance. It's like riding a bucket Bronco, literally. They're just amazing bikes.
So Richard Holdner saying, wait till we add some real boost to the Maribera and then to a Barra. So apparently he's got a Barra Ford, which is a 4-liter Ford, right? I think that's what it is. Might be 4.1 or 4.2 liter Barra. But and I always wanted to do, I think we talked about this, at 4,200, I always thought that inline six would be awesome in like a tow rig with a turbo.
Yeah.
Because it'd just be flat torque curve, right? It's just flat. And then Richard goes and does this video, and it proves like you can pretty much set up your Thanksgiving dinner on that torque curve. It is so flat.
Bob Ganso says he used to race with a guy with a 9-second triple sound. It was awesome, right? Right?
I remember when drag bikes in like the early 80s, late 70s were everywhere, and a lot of them were those triples.
One, the H1 was the same from 69 to 72, then got tamed some. No, 69 and 70 were different. The 69 and 70, the port timing is different on those engines. The higher compression and the port timing is different.
You don't want this beer, Lobo GTX. This is the Sunkiss. I was trying to get something to clear my throat. I'm out of beer. Let's see. Brian Dom is saying, hey, Tony, can you get transparent valve covers on the Miata and Bottle Rocket and the same on the oil pan?
No. I don't know where to even get stuff like that.
The only thing I've ever seen that's transparent is like, you remember J.C. Whitney used to sell transparent, like
for the small block Chevy and the distributor cap.
Yeah, distributor caps is the big one. But
somebody was making them for a small block Chevy. I remember when I was a kid, I was about 8 years old, I was watching the Wide World of Sports, and they were doing the U.S. Nationals, and they were showing top gas cars. And there was I don't know which car it was, but it was one of the top gas cars. It had 2 small block Chevys in it. They both had clear valve covers.
Huh.
And
like the freight train, you mean?
It wasn't the freight train. And by that time, the freight train was Hemis.
The freight train was all Hemis by then?
Yeah, the freight train went to Hemi in like '69. So yeah, but this was in 1970. It was a top gas car, twin engine, small block, and they both had clear valve covers on them, and it just stuck in my head for some reason. I can't remember what school I went to, right, or even what street I lived on, or half the relatives I ever had. But I remember the clear small block Chevys on the top gas dragster. Okay.
Let's see. Jacone Johnstoner says, Tony, what are your opinions on AMC engines, particularly the 360 and 401?
I don't have very much experience with them. If you ask me in general, like I would say they have a good reputation. You know what I mean? I know that they have little quirks here and there, but they have a good reputation. The 360 is worshipped by the Jeep guys.
Yeah. Well, and I've always found that those AMCs, you remember they ran Pro Stock with the AMC motor, right? They can't be all that bad.
Maskin and Canners.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like Wally Booth had one, didn't he?
Wally Booth and Maskin and Canners. Maskin and Canners had the really hardcore one, and I remember reading about that in Superstock and Drag Illustrated, and they showed some of the work they had done. So that basically what they did was they hollowed out the motor and built a whole new guts with welding rod.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With welding rod. Just like your deal with like were you brazing it on, or not brazing it, but your gas welding it on?
I don't know what they might have stick welded it. I don't know, but basically Warren Johnson did the same thing with the Oldsmobile. They running the Oldsmobile Pro Stock.
DRCE, the first few blocks.
Yeah, they literally took an Oldsmobile motor and hollowed it out. They literally hollowed out the block out, and they recreated it with welding rod. They built the entire block out of welding rod and machined that. Need metal. New leader bikes make 3 horsepower for cube. I know. More than my turbo bike in the 80s. I rode the 750, the Kawasaki 750 turbo. Actually, when I was doing Muscle Car Magazine, when I was working at CSK, I rode one of those, the turbo Kawasaki's. No, it really actually wasn't nothing. I was all excited about it. This has got to run like crazy, right? And no, it was a lot of lag, and it just didn't really. It didn't do it.
Jimmy Talk was saying we need a better mic.
Oh no.
Well, we've tried 2 or 3 different mics now. Maybe it's just because we're in the garage.
Possibly. Wow, we're probably running for almost an hour already.
Yeah, I know it's going by pretty quick. Just like the week. Oh, man, I'm telling you. This week turned out to be it was rough for a while. And then, man, it got awesome like the past couple of days. Really did. But I got that 400 all tore apart. We're gonna go 400 in the Suburban Buick 400.
Well, we got a lot of Buick engine stuff coming. Tomorrow we're gonna come here and shoot a Buick block video. I think it's gonna be pretty interesting. Mark Shaw says we need to get you on Hayabusa. I rode a Hayabusa the week they came out. I rode a freaking Hayabusa, and it kind of, I tell you the truth, it kind of freaked me out because 4th gear, 90 miles an hour. I squeezed it, and I was expecting it. It was pulling hard enough. I was expecting it to actually loft the front end, but it didn't. It broke the tire loose. I was like, that's a little crazy. And then I got used to it. Yeah, it just they're fast, man. They're fast, but they don't have the same. I would rather ride a slower triple than the fast, But that's just me. My daily driver bike is a '97 Honda Valkyrie. I am the only. I'm going to brag. Okay, I'm the only person I know that can ever wheelie oh Jesus! Why can't I see the Valkyrie is based off of the Honda, the Aspencade, the Goldwing. I'm sorry, brain fart. I am the only person I know that can actually wheelie a Goldwing. I got one to come up. Not a whole bunch, but I got one to come up.
All right, Matt Horvath is saying, what do you know about the 430 Buick? I was looking at a 67 Wildcat. Well, Matt, I'm going to tell you what I do know. The 67 Wildcat was the top of the line Buick. In 67, the 430 came with what they call the big port heads. A lot of guys don't like to use them because they say they crack, this and that. I've had 2 sets of them now. I haven't had a single crack in any one of them. But, man, I'll bet you they give a stage 1 a run for the money. And I really want to find out. Matter of fact, that's what Tony and I were talking about. I was thinking about doing a Buick channel, and I found a place where I think I could do all Buick big block heads with the exception of stage 2s side by side on a flow bench. So I think that would be kind of cool. But yes, 67 Wildcat, jump on that sucker. Even if the body's junk, throw that motor in something else.
Unity Motors says, when are we hitting the drag strip again in Bottle Rock, and I need to put my vacation day in. Let me get through the rest of this week, and I'll figure out what the schedule for things are going to be. I'm committed on June 19th. It's a Saturday over here for a muscular dystrophy show. But yeah, let me get through the rest of this week, and I'll figure out exactly what the schedule is going to be, and we'll get a hold of you, man.
Somebody said they had a Buick 455, but then they had a 300 that was a badass, and I'm like, whoa, wow! Just so happens I'm building a 300 badass right now. What Chris Greenway says, Dallas Shore, our only hope. Tony's going to do a Honda S2000 next.
No. I draw the line with the Miata. I happen to really like the Miata.
Run an old Tennessean mailbox as an air grabber. That would be kind of cool.
Tony De La Rosa. Hey, Tony, do you know where I can find a points distributor for a small block Chevy 350? Any auto parts store.
Dude, I bet you can go in and buy one at a parts store.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, Wild Rose Garage. No, I haven't played with Nailheads. That's like one of the only Buicks I've never played with. And that's probably because they were never given away for free. The Nailhead's always been coveted for as long as I've been messing with Buicks. It's always hot rodders. Hot rodders love them because they're just a damn good looking motor. But did the Buick 300 have aluminum block? No, it had aluminum heads. The 215 had an aluminum block.
Tony's too big. Did you ever run a Kawasaki Eliminator? No, I don't think so. Was it? Isn't it a thumper? The Eliminator? That's like the. Well, you're not really a motorcycle guy.
Not really. I mean, I like bikes. I definitely like bikes from like the 60s and 70s, but I'm not. I was never big on bikes.
I think the Eliminator is like the Suzuki Savage, which I've ridden those, and they're fun bikes. They're cool little bikes. They're great around town.
I had a Honda CB500 for 2 days.
Did you?
I did.
What year?
It was like 78 or 79.
Okay, yeah.
It was shaft drive, right? I got it running. I got it in the swap for a car, a 78 Pontiac Grand Le Mans wagon, which I would have never got rid of if I know what was going to happen today. But swapped it for a car, and then the motor locked up the second day I had it. So I just never had another bike since then.
Roy Ferntorp, the 265 Hemi wasn't really a Hemi. Don't say that. We have Australians and we have New Zealanders on this channel. Don't ever say anything like that about the 265 Hemi. Just don't. Trees.
When are you going to get back on the, what is it, the Slag Master or whatever?
Slag Hammer.
Slag Hammer.
And as soon as the Miata is done.
Well, do you have a deadline for this Gambler 500 race?
Yeah, the Gambler 500 in September.
It's in September?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got plenty of time.
Right. I got plenty of time for that. Wild Rose Garage. Tony Dallas, what's your thoughts on a straight weight motor oil for a summer hot ride? I like Rotella SAE40. Fine by me.
It's fine, especially in the summertime. Yeah. I don't know about the straight weight 40 from Rotella, but I do know that most of the time, SAE30 straight weight is a high detergent motor oil, isn't it not?
Yes.
So I bet that 40 weight is no different. High detergent motor oil.
Do you remember the Suzuki Water Buffalo, the most disappointing motorcycle I've ever ridden?
When I lived in Japan, they had a motorcycle there that was the Honda Hornet. It was a 250 four-cylinder two-stroke.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I looked at it had, your regular tack up there, plus your speedometer, right? And everything was in kilometers, so it was like no frame of reference.
Right.
But
like
the RPM was like
RPM.
22,000.
Yeah.
22,000. It was a 250 four-cylinder.
Yeah, the red line is the red line starts at like 16,000 and it goes from there, right? Bandy Cooper FPV. Ever had a bad experience with laying a crank down? It's just good practice to leave them up. It seems like a big deal on pressed cranks, but with cast and forge, it seems like unlikely. Yeah, I always leave them standing up. Always store crankshafts standing up.
And I normally, and tonight I'm guilty of not doing it, but I normally bolt the flex plate on the back, so it's harder to knock over.
Let's see. Jake Brown. Would there be any way on a small block Chevy to flip the pistons in the bore without pulling the heads?
No, not at all.
No. Nothing more reliable than a Honda. What was that? May not be the fastest bike, but it'll get you home. I had a 900 RR when they first came out, and that was a pretty badass bike. I got to tell you. Hondas in general, okay? Yeah. So I honestly so after we're all gone, right? And our ancestors were all gone. And everything that we know today has been returned to the earth, right? The last of our engines have been rusted into the ground, and mankind steps off into this next evolutionary step. And the history books are written, okay? Soichiro Honda is going to be known as the father of the machine of the motion machine. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe so. I don't know. I'd like to think slow motion machine, because there is no Hondas that I will even think twice. I will kick doors in on almost anything.
Really?
I'll race any single one of them. Yeah, well, I mean, there's some out there with big Gonzo turbos on them, drag cars, right?
But you're thinking Honda cars.
Right.
Okay, I'm talking, so.
Honda bikes,
not just bikes, Honda, everything.
I have a Honda mower.
Okay, you have a Honda mower, there's Honda weed whackers, and Honda, like, you can have a life where everything that's powered by an engine says Honda on it.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it'll all be completely dead nuts reliable.
Well, I could not say the same about my mower. I mean, it starts on 2 poles, but
Honda pressure washer. It's John Wilburn. He did make it. I thought you were here already, bro. Or maybe that was last week.
no, I think John Wilburn was the only one that didn't show up.
Honda quads are reliable tractors. Yeah, Husqvarna's definitely. I always wanted a 400 cross. You ever see on any Sunday?
No.
Right. I had a friend of mine my friends in New York used to call me Malcolm.
Buff's covert. Rocky Myers asking where's Buff. He's covert right now.
Yes, he'll be back. He's in Maryland. He's doing secret government work.
Laying low.
But a 400 cross, which is what Malcolm rode in on any Sunday, that's one bike I always wanted and never got, and I think that's on my bucket list.
Slant 6, a mini bike. That's something that would be kind of cool. You kind of be like a little bit of flavor like the Honda mini bike, but yet all the flavor of like the Michigan Madman.
Yep.
Right?
EJ Potter.
Yeah.
I got to do something on his version of the EV.
Oh, an electric vehicle? What did he have?
He had a 1/4 mile long extension cord.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
Yeah.
Yeah, on
On
a drum.
Yeah.
Yeah, but EJ Potter did it cooler than everybody else.
Yep.
They did make V10 motorcycles and Radial 9 motorcycles, but man, EJ Potter, if you don't know who that guy is, the Michigan Madman, imagine this. An injected small block Chevrolet, probably what, 283? It was direct drive to the rear end, and they put him up on 2 jack stands holding the rear axle. He'd fire the thing up, hold it wide open, and then they'd kick him off the jack stands, and he'd run down the 1/4 mile wide open,
Yep.
1 gear. Like, full-on kill. But I heard some cool stories where he would go buy, like, a radio at Sears, and it'd say it had, like, 100,000 mile wear, or, like, 40,000 miles or 30,000 miles, whatever it is, right? But it doesn't matter. And he'd go burn that sucker down the 1/4 mile and bring it back and be like, oh, I got 1 mile out of it, right? And they would give him a new tire.
Dakota Bethune is on any Sunday a documentary on motorcycles. Yes, Dakota, if you've never seen on any Sunday, okay? If you're even remotely into motorcycles, right? And I am not going to watch it because I have that sickness, and I will go tomorrow and buy another freaking motorcycle. If you've never seen on any Sunday, right? You're missing out on one of the best things in life. Period. The end. I watched that movie. Okay, I tell you what. When I lived the last couple of years, I lived in New York. I had like a high stress life. I mean, like a high stress life. So the reason I came to Tennessee, the only way I could sleep, right, was by putting on any Sunday on the VCR, right. And the only way I could sleep was by watching on any Sunday. I watched it every single night for 2 fucking years. It was the only way I could fall asleep. Watch that film. It's just awesome. And then the more you watch it, the more awesome it gets. And then it gets even more awesome than that.
So Chris Greenaway is asking, Tony, are 66 through 67 428 Mercury Marauder motors a 428 Cleveland Cobra Jet in disguise? No. That's an FE motor,
Yeah.
buddy. And if you're going to buy one, jump on it. Those things are worth their weight in gold these days.
What are you saying? Rubber dress dude on any given Sunday is on 24/7 at my crib. There you go, right?
I've never seen it.
Am I making this up? Yeah, but you're not a motorcycle guy, so you won't get it.
Oh.
You won't get it. Paul Gray, hey Tony, do you think you would ever do a build with a car from here in the UK like a classic Mini? I happen to love those classic minis.
I do too.
Right?
Yeah.
I would not buy one myself, okay, but I would love for somebody to bring me one and say, let's do this project together. Yeah, absolutely.
I think the one that's cooler that nobody knows anything about is the Moke.
The Moke.
The Mini Moke.
Which one is that?
That's the one they used in Hawaii that was like looks like a safari car.
Oh, I know what
but
you're talking about.
It's based on the Mini.
I know what you're talking about, yeah. Zero, yeah. World's Fastest Indian was a good movie. Yeah,
I had that movie. I love that movie.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times. But the on any Sunday is like a whole different level, because it's not a movie; it's like real.
I read that dude's book, Burt Monroe's like biography. It was written by the same guy that did the movie, right? The movie's just a snippet of his life, but the book is amazing because there's a point in there where during World War II, Burt Monroe, they couldn't get any fuel, right? Because all the fuel was being rationed.
Right.
So he converted that motorcycle to run on burnt coal gas.
Okay.
Right? And it had like a little burner where the carburetor was, and he would light it on fire and then fire up the engine off the exhaust from that coal.
Really?
Yeah. It's a freaking awesome book.
That is like that guy was all about dedication.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like, that's inspiration. You guys that are struggling with your projects, you know what I mean? And you're trying to get through, you're trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel and you're not getting there, right? Or you don't have any money, watch the Burt Monroe movie or read his biography, because that right there that's all inspiration you need. If that shit doesn't get you fired up, you're dead inside. Just pack it in.
Well, it made me have a whole new appreciation for machine work by file. Right?
Yes.
I mean, that guy, he didn't have any money, so he made the stuff. There's actually a point in that book where he makes his own crank out of a axle from a bulldozer. He machines it out with a file in his garage. But, all right. So Wild Rose Garage says, Tony in Dallas, everyone puts 400 cranks in 350s. Wouldn't a 350 crank and a 400 small block Chevy crank or block be better because of short stroke, huge bore?
Well, the problem with that is that the main journal on the 350 crank is smaller than. It's easy to turn down a 400 crank to put in a 350 block. If you take the 350 crank in a 400 block gives you a 377.
Yep, they make D-stroke 377s, and they do run good.
Yeah,
but you need bearing spacers or a steel crank that somebody can weld up and then turn the mains down.
Right. Whereas the other way around, you take the
400 crank.
400 crank, you just turn the mains down and just drop it right in. You get your 383. Oh, it's not a standard bore. It's 30 over is a 383.
Right. So it comes out to 378.
379, I think it is.
Oh.
Right? The standard bore. The standard bore 350 block, 350 crank and a 400 block is a 377, and
yes, that's correct.
And the standard bore
350 block
with a 400 crank is a 379, 30 over it's a 383.
I thought it was I think it's 5 cubic inches for that 30 over. So I think it's a 379, but it doesn't matter. Tony Roman said he's not feeling your love on the Slam. He's owned a couple of them.
Not everybody is going to, man. Not everybody is going to. Let's see. Joe Brennan, how well do 4-barrel FE intakes flow air?
Factory ones? I'm just going to go with a standard stock, nothing crazy.
Right.
Because they made crazy stuff that flowed like mad. But Standard stock, I don't think they're very good, actually. I think they kind of choke them off. They're not great. They're just like any other cast iron 4-barrel intake manifold. Your power band is virtually to 5,000 RPM, and that's it. 1,000 to 5,000 RPM. I don't think they flow all that great. I do know they're heavy as hell because they got part of the head on, right?
Yeah. They got the whole intake manifold. The valve cover rail is all built into it.
Yep. FE is Ford Edsel. Yeah.
But then you also have the Mel engine, the Mercury Edsel Lincoln motor. So Ford made so many different.
I know, but that MEL motor it's very similar to the FE, right?
No,
I thought they were very similar.
Different. No, it's all its own.
But man, did they make some big cubic inch ones? God,
they have a 460.
Right, I thought they had a 472.
472, yeah.
Oh man, it's a big motor. A stock slant handle nitrous. Yes, and they love it.
Tons of it. Good night, Doug.
Let's see. Dakota Bethune says a cast iron FE manifold weighs about 75 pounds. I bet it does. I bet it's like every bit of that. Roy Ferntop says he had a 69 Galaxy with an FE and it was a slug. I had a 66 Mercury Cyclone and it wasn't a slug, but man, did that sucker there was no way it would get mileage at all. It got like 6, 8. That was it. That was all it ever get. It was a 390 to begin with.
Susie Cream Cheese is from Frank Zappa. Yeah, where did that come from?
I don't know. 65 Muzzy says, I just watched your Devo vid and have to agree with some of it, but I watched some other late model full-on builds, and they run 7s off the trailer because they know how it works.
Nobody runs 7s off the trailer. Anybody tells you to run a 7-second ET in pretty much anything off the trailer is just you're missing a big. If you've got a 5-second car and you can run a 7 off the trailer, that's about right, and then you tune it the rest of the way. Is Dan from DD Speed Shop in here? I didn't see him.
Someone was just saying.
I just saw somebody mentioned Dan from DD Speed. Oh, Danny Boyd said somebody asked about Susie Cheesecake. Okay. Go-Kart Cam. Hey, Tony, I have a trick question. How much cc's is a 16 HP? I have no idea. That's
12.
That's a really trick. Yeah, 12. Although if I said 14 and a half, we could have argued it back and forth a little bit and convinced them that we knew what we were talking about.
Probably. Cletus hit 7s within a few passes with his El Camino. That's what Danny Boyd says.
Slog Rats, my brother James. Susie Cheesecake was the only thing I understood. UTG, that's why I asked if the 66, 67 Mercury 420 was a Mel or an FE. The Mel was gone by 66, I believe.
Yeah, and it's an FE by all the way.
There he is, DD Speed Shop. What's going on, Dan? Always here, yes. Your UTG came in the mail. Oh, nice.
Oh, which one did you get? Did you get the new
Which one did you get?
Yeah.
It self-tuned the 440 last night. Which one did you get, man? You should have bro, send Kathy your address. Let me send you a bunch of shit to wear, man.
Yeah, you need the new sketchy shirt.
Yeah. Jeff Starch, how about a foot brake tutorial when you race the primer slant? No, you're going to get a foot brake tutorial with that 75 Dodge Charger that's coming back on Friday. We're going to shoot a whole thing on getting a car with no gear to launch and do the whole foot brake thing. So, yeah, lots of that coming.
Tom Muse says the Cub Cadets have an 8 3/4 carrier.
Do they? Because I know that they were using. I sold a bunch of 7 1/4 rears to a guy who runs in those circles.
Ruckwarts 1, he asks, did Buick ever have a steel crank in a 455? Not that I know of, but they did have some pro stock. They actually had a pro stock build that they did. They worked with the Judd brothers out of Connecticut, I think, but none of them ever came with in a 455. Their cranks were called Arma Steel, which was supposed to be like a cast steel, but every nail head made from 66 and before all had steel cranks, every single one of them. The neat thing about the nail head is the mains are smaller, and you can weld them up and put them in a 425, or a 430 or 400 or 455 Buick.
Jake Braun. Hey, Tony, if I do what you said to do on your video on ignition timing for power, will it hurt my mileage much? The exact opposite. You're going to pick up gas mileage. Let's see. Ricky Styles Racing, working on a 68 472 out of a Caddy Fleetwood. Each cylinder has its own letter stamp. Each letter represents a bore size. Do you know anything about this? Yeah, that was a common assembly thing on all of the manufacturers back in the day. The only thing was we need a piston set. Confusing. If you look at what I found on the Chrysler engines is not the assembly line motors, but the ones that were sold as replacements are all okay. Picture this now, right? Engine assembly plant. They run the blocks through the machining. Okay, they do a quick check on the block. If the block checks correctly, they send it. All right, and it goes through the rest of the assembly line. If the block checks a little off on the machining, what they'll do is they'll send it back around and have it remachined, and it doesn't go in the assembly line. It goes to a separate assembly area where it's hand assembled, and those are the ones that are used for replacements. So your warranty blocks and everything else. So you'll find common in all 1960s, 70s era engines, you'll find that on the side of the block, if you clean them really good, you'll see letters A, B, C, D, right? On each of the, and what those is, each of those letters corresponds to a size. So there's a standard size, there's 5 10,000ths over, there's 6 10,000ths over, whatever it happens to be. So this way the person assembling that block, hand assembling that block, knows to take a B piston and put it in a B hole and a D piston and put it in a D hole. And that's why those, and so you'll find that on all of these different warranty engines and over-the-counter engines from the 1960s and 1970s.
So I guess if he's got different letters on each individual piston, the best thing to do is probably take that block to the machine shop, have him find the biggest bore on the block, and bore them all the same size.
But usually it's such a small amount, right, that it's not even really necessary.
You can get away with it.
You get away with it.
Hold on a second. So somebody was asking, that's why I stopped.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Somebody was asking about an Oldsmobile. He was talking about Oldsmobile made a big block front-wheel drive maybe in the 80s, and I was going to straighten them out. Like it actually happened in the 60s.
Yeah, the Tornado.
Right? Yeah, the Tornado.
Yeah.
Right? And if you want to see where the Tornado leads to, look at the Harry Olds.
The Harry Olds.
Yeah, it had 2 of those drivetrains.
And the heavy under glass. Oh, not the heavy under glass. The terrifying Tornado. John Smizer, right? Because they're really cool stuff. So they had the Hearst heavy under glass, which was 2 blown injected nitro burning Olds 425s in a Tornado, right? And
that was the Harry Olds.
That was the Hearst Harry Olds.
Yeah.
So they were making money exhibition racing. So at the time, the funny car thing was just getting going. It was like 1966, right? So tracks across the country are going nuts trying to book in anything that was crazy. So this guy, John Smizer, built a car called the Terrifying Tornado. And he did the same thing. Two blown, injected, nitro-burning 425 Oldses. But he really threw the nitro with this thing. Like there are pictures of this car just climbing over guardrails and swapping lanes, running into grandstands. Like this thing was just completely
Nuts.
out of control. There's one shot of it leaving the starting line. I think it was like Irwindale, one of these tracks, right? And both front wheels are like this,
Different direction.
completely different directions. John,
I have seen that. So I stopped here. So Ruckworks 1 was asking, why is the 4-speed so rare on the 455 Buick? And it's because really you had to go in there and buy the option.
Yeah. Right?
The big one was the Buicks were actually faster with the automatic because it had so much torque. It knocked the tires off with the stick. Right? So guys stuck with the automatic because it was actually a quicker number.
Now, even with the 455, the 3-speed manual was the standard manual transmission.
Right. Yep. And I just found out that was the Dearborn 3-speed.
I drove one. I drove one of those.
I had an option to buy one.
Really?
That's the 3-speed. Here's what I found out. That Dearborn 3-speed is a Ford product.
Okay.
Right? It's a top loader 3-speed. It is tougher than coffin nails.
I don't know anything about the transmission itself, but I remember driving one of those cars back, I guess I was maybe in my early 20s, right? And it was a 455, 3-speed. And the 3-speed was the perfect match for that engine.
Because it was just power.
It was just
so torquey.
Just torque. It was a bottomless pit of torque, and that 3-speed just matched it perfectly. You didn't need the 4-speed. The first and second gear drop was a lot, kind of like a mono rocket, right?
Right.
But there was so much torque involved in it that it just.
Second gear was like a freight train.
Yeah. It actually felt better than any 4-speed could.
Well, that's awesome. So yeah, they just weren't optioned much with the 4-speed. So. Buick owner is too lazy, too rich to shift their own gears, they said.
Kyle Teal, fab and engineering question. Why didn't you move the radiator back in the Miata? Why would I? It's perfect right where it is. It's a it's a tall radiator. If I stood it up, it would you wouldn't be able to close the hood. So it has to be mounted at an angle. And now it all fits perfectly.
And here's something that you probably didn't know. You probably know it. But if you mount a radiator at an angle, it gives it more surface area for the wind to hit the radiator, making it run cooler.
And then the added bonus is I have all that extra space around the front of the motor. If I want to change anything, water pump, whatever it happens to be. If I want to change cam timing, I don't have to pull the radiator out. I got everything right there. Oh, to use a mechanical fan? Because it still wouldn't line up. The front, okay, on the Miata, the hood does this, right as you get to the front of the engine. So while there's tons of clearance back like in the carburetor area, as you get to the front, the hood starts to come down like this. And the water pump is like close enough that like you couldn't put a mechanical fan on there.
Oh, someone's doing a 409.
Oh, thank you, Lee. That's badass.
I know.
But also working on an O2 Cavalier, what rear end would be best to keep the stock look? I don't know.
Oh, and the S10? Okay, so the S10s, if you got the 4.3 Vortec V6 with 5-speed, came with an 8.5-inch rear end, same as the Grand National. Find that one. Fan
shroud fixes everything. First off, I have never in my life put a fan shroud on anything. I have any of my own cars, if it had a fan shroud, I take the fan shroud off and I throw the damn thing away, or I sell it to somebody who wants a fan shroud. I do not believe in fan shrouds. I have never had a fan shroud. I will never have a fan shroud. Fan shrouds do nothing but get in my way. So I don't like fan shrouds. If my car overheats without a fan shroud, I will figure out how to make it not overheat before I'll put a fan shroud on it.
So fan shroud was just for those weak liberals that would pretty much cut their fingers off.
Exactly.
Stick them to the fan. Yeah.
So fan shrouds cost you power. I don't know. A lot of people don't realize that, but a fan shroud is like a 3 to 5 horsepower like gone, just because of the fact that it's got to tunnel the air.
Huh. Oh, probably the same group of people that need the gas pumps that say don't insert in mouth or anus. It's like, who would think of that? V8 swapping the Cavalier, rear wheel drive build. That's kind of cool.
Fan shroud sucks. Hashtag.
Man, they always keep my cars cool with a fan shroud.
I have never in my entire life.
You take them all off, huh? Throw them in the trash.
If it has a fan shroud on it,
How does it run cool?
it comes off.
How does it run cool?
I never have a problem.
Okay.
It's just something I've never, ever had a problem with. Okay, there are certain cars you can't take the fan shroud off of. Like, for instance, the example, GM cars of the mid to early 70s, right? We had that extremely long nose. And the radiator was way out
Monte Carlo.
Like the Monte Carlo, where your fan shroud's tunnel, it's this long.
Right.
Okay? Yeah, okay. You need a fan shroud there. Right? No question about it. But Chrysler products put the fan right up against there's never any distance, right?
Right. And I've seen did many of them come with fan shrouds?
Yeah, they all came with fan shrouds, and I've taken them off of everything.
Jake Braun is asking, what is better, clutch fan with shroud or no shroud and solid fan? I know the solid fan will munch on some serious horsepower.
Yeah.
Clutch fan is always better. Yeah. And if you can go electric, that's even better. Sam Dussel is saying, please explain the Ford 330 in my F500.
It needs the same kind of love and understanding as any other.
Is it like a tall deck, small bore, long stroke?
I have no idea.
I've never heard of that 330, unless it's based. No. Is it based off the 385 series big block? Does it look like a 460?
I have no idea.
Yeah, Monte Carlo 55-gallon drum fan trap. That's true. I remember seeing the one off like a 72.
Yeah.
And I swear it was probably at least 3 feet long.
The one on the Grand Prix was even longer.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because the Pontiac motor's shorter?
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, it's a medium duty FE. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, well, I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, 332?
I know
that I have heard.
352? I've
heard of 352. Those came in quick.
Except the shroud, Tony, do it. No zero. No shroud. I reject the shroud.
Can a Vortec Chevy's timing curve be improved upon, or is it already ideal? I don't know. That's something you probably need to test.
Let's see. Kyle Teal, which is worse? The load from a mechanical fan or the load from electrical fans on an alternator? The load from a mechanical fan. Mechanical fans eat power.
And they're constantly on. That's one thing that people don't understand. An electric fan, it's only on, for a short period of time. When you're going down the road, it's not even on. But that the clutch fan is still spinning.
Feed the shroud, funnel the air. I'm going to meditate on that tonight, Zero. I'm going to meditate on that tonight. Jump over. No shroud for you. Come back 1 year. The shroud
Nazi.
Yeah. I love this chat. I love these guys.
Well, it's a lot of fun.
Henry S. Scott, I like to remove anything under the hood that doesn't help me get there faster. Yes. Tom Hughes, okay, so here's the voice of reason, and it's pretty much what I said. The distance from fan to radiator makes a big difference. If they're close, no shroud needed. If you have a closed area with a foot or more space between, use a shroud. Yeah, that's it. It just so happens that none of the cars I've ever dealt with in my life, my own cars, have more than that much distance between the fan and the radiator.
Why no 440s and truck pulling? It's all big block Chevys and Fords. It's just a money thing, buddy. It's a money thing.
Olive, you'd like to offer Tony my electric fan if you didn't plan to use it? Well, thank you. I appreciate the thought, Olive. Have you guys ever seen a fan blow apart?
Yeah.
I didn't see it actually happen, but I saw the aftermath.
Oh, really?
In Englishtown. This was like, I don't know, like maybe 1980.
On a race car?
1981. Yeah, there was a guy in the pits, revving his motor, right? It was a Corvette, if I remember correctly. That had one of the flex fans, and it came apart, and it cut the guy's. When the blade came off, it cut the guy's armpit over here, and it cut through like an artery.
Oh, it's bleeding out.
You never saw, right? Yeah, exactly. Somebody started screaming like, "Oh my god!" So we were, I don't know, a few cars down, and by the time we got there, there was a fountain of blood coming out of this fucking guy. And luckily, somebody was able to grab here or whatever, and they
put
stopped
pressure on it. Yeah,
they put pressure on, stop the bleed. But that was one of the plastic flex fan things that came off.
I've seen them before where they've come off and they've torn like the whole entire shroud assembly, and then like it'll absolutely murder the radiator.
Yeah.
Right? There'll be fan blades sticking out of the radiator.
Hmm. 29 A-bone pickup. You're going to take the whole so to the Miata for more weight reduction? No.
There is nothing lighter than a hole, though.
There is nothing lighter than a hole, and there's very few things lighter than a Miata. When you take the fluffy stuff off of a Miata, there's okay. I'm gonna so like, no secret. Okay, I am in love with the Miata. I love the Miata. So when you strip away, I was just this morning, right? Like as the sun was coming up, I'm in the garage. I'm sitting in my rocking chair, and I'm looking at the Miata, and I realized, right, it's a race car. Okay, when you take all of the fluff and you take all of like the doodads and all of like that, and you just look at what's there, the tub, the suspension, the way everything is, like,
for sure,
it's a fucking race car.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the Miata probably much more so than anything else because it was meant to be a roadster. It was meant to be a sporty roadster.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like if you think of it like a Valiant 2-door. You take it all gut it all out. It still doesn't have the same race car feel.
No.
It still has Valiant 2-door feel.
Right.
I mean, you can put a big motor in it, but it doesn't have that. The Miata would be more like a road race car.
You strip all the frilly stuff off of a Miata, and you just look at the bare bones that are there, right? And it's just a thing of beauty. Like I'm telling you, I'm in love with the whole Miata thing.
All right, so John Elwanger is asking best muffler location for less drone but loud, snappy bark. Buick 455, 9.5 to 1 manifolds, 2.5-inch exhaust. Oh, well, the further you go back, the more low frequency noise that will be canceled out.
Well, that's why they use resonators back there.
Right, but a lot of cars can't really handle anything past like midpoint. There's no place to put a muffler, right?
Where's the muffler in that car?
They didn't say what car it was. It's just a Buick 455. I'm assuming it's probably Skylark or something. I think to get less drone, what I found is I went to Flowmaster 3 chambers like a long time ago because I don't know. I kind of just grew out of the loud. I hated being in the car. You couldn't talk to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I went to the 3-chamber Flowmasters. It took a lot of the drone out, but I noticed when it did not have tailpipes, it made a huge difference. It had a lot of drone without tailpipes. So I think a lot of it is not so much your muffler placement, but the whole system as a whole. I do know that if you put a H pipe in it, or cross connect, it'll pull some of that out.
Yeah, but the big thing is the big thing that the automakers did to get rid of drone was put resonators all over the back. Like the very last thing would be a resonator. So you have your, but that's the whole purpose of a resonator is to get rid of the drone.
Yeah. And you could probably score some off of a newer car at the junkyard pretty easy these days. Here's a cool one. Honda-matic garage. I'm thinking about building a Triumph Spitfire and drop in a Chevy 350. What do you think?
I mean, go for it. The reason why I stayed away from the Brit cars, I love the Brit cars, but the reason I stay away from them and went with the Miata instead is because they're really hard to get parts for, and they're not built all that well. I mean, they used a lot of cheap metal, and so I don't know how much structure you're gonna have to beef up to actually make that car work.
All right.
Stephen LaFrance, thank you. Hey guys, odd question. Is it normal for a 76 F350 cab and chassis to not have rear shocks? Because they can't find any seat mounting points. Possibly, and I could see an F350 not having shocks. That,
especially if it was like a flatbed truck or like.
yeah. Does it have stacked leaf springs? So there's one set of leaf springs, and then there's another set of leaf springs. You know what I'm talking about?
Two different sets.
Yeah. So you're gonna have the one set of leaf spring that goes from shackle to shackle.
Right.
Okay. And then
you get like
another set
helper
of
spring.
helper springs, right? And I think an F350, 76 F350 would probably have, because my Dodge 350 doesn't have shocks either, and it has those stacked leaf springs.
I know that I've seen stuff like, well, your Dodge 350 was a wrecker, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen wreckers, and if anybody remembers the old ramp trucks, the beautiful ramp trucks, those didn't have rear shocks.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're talking about a 350, right, you're talking about some insanely crazy leaf springs that no shock absorber is going to keep up with.
So, rider of the pale horse says Brit cars come pre-rusted from the factory.
Yes. You've seen the goofy dual spring thing.
Swamp Rat, which is your brother, right, says, where exactly under my hood will I find my fan shroud? Why now, after all these years on this earth, I have to worry about this thing that I never knew existed before this evening?
It's going to be just to the left of the mozzarella tank. Let's see. Oh, it's a 69 Riviera X-frame car. Can't do H or X pipe.
Oh.
Then I would run a pair of resonators.
Oh.
2 before the axle, 2 after the axle.
Yeah, and you could probably, if you want to be cheap about that, I bet you have a muffler in there. If you already have a muffler in there, put a glass pack toward the rear. I bet you that glass pack will work very much
same
like
as a resonator.
Yes.
Wild Rose Garage, Tony, what is your velocity stack on Bottle Rocket made from? It's a light fixture. I was at Habitat for Humanity looking for some stuff for something. I don't remember what it was. And they had a stack of like old light fixtures, and I said, "Oh, I can make velocity stacks out of that." And actually, and I did, and it worked out great. So I bought 2 of those. They were $1 each, and I have one on the shelf for the next one I want to go for. And now I'm going to go back there and get one for the Miata, because I need a small one for the BBD. So I'm going to find a light fixture, and cut it down and make it work for the velocity stack on that.
See, Wayne says no shocks on my 70 F350 dump truck. I think a lot of it was cab and chassis trucks that were going to carry heavy loads.
Yeah, when you've got those stacked leaf springs, there is no shock necessary. I mean, the thing is not going to be going like this. It just ain't going to happen.
Well, it's just right so damn hard.
Yeah. Danny Boyd, mozzarella. Yes. What about it? I guess he's like another cheese lover. You only got to say it once, and they like,
I like cheese too.
Wild Rose Gorge, thanks. I need to find a light fixture. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many like velocity stack like things you'll find at a place like Habitat for Humanity.
I gotta head down to Habitat Humanity for Humanity and score some car parts. Like, when was the last time you heard the secondhand house parts store?
Laszlo, I'm really impressed with the update video of the Miata. Thanks for the video. I'm impressed with it too, brother. I'm loving this car. Danny Boy, someone asked what's okay, yeah, mozzarella, right? To the rest the rest of humanity, it's called mozzarella, right? Mozzarella. To an Italian, it's mozzarella. Dakota, what do you call a light fixture like that? All I can find is a glasser. Yeah, no, they have all different types of like industrial things, like for kitchens where you can't have glass, like commercial kitchens. Just go hunt around, you'll find.
Always wanted to do a stripped out Jeep Wrangler with a small block Mopar converted to rear wheel drive. Google sucks. That's interesting that you bring that up. We talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. I always wanted to do a Cherokee with the Cherokee Sport Tour. Yeah. Right? But a Wrangler would be just as awesome because that sucker is light. When you take all the four-wheel drive stuff out and swap in that Cherokee front axle, it's a straight axle. It'll fit in that Wrangler. It's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, that would be a handful too. Was it like a 90-inch wheelbase?
Well, you remember seeing they had some back in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
But they were like funny cars and stuff. Nobody really.
Oh yeah. Well, there was
There was a Jeep funny car.
There was trying to think of the name of it. There were a couple of them, and I can't for the life. Holy Toledo was a Jeep.
Yeah, Holy Toledo was the one I was thinking of.
Right, and then there were a couple of them, but then there was a guy named Dr. Wacko in the 1980s that was running a blown small block Chevy in a CJ, and they ran a group called the Wild Bunch.
Oh.
Which later
evolved. Cool name.
I'm telling you, it was Camp Stanley was in there. He had a Taurus wagon with a blown motor in it. Like I said, Dr. Wacko had that Jeep. There was anyway. It was a group of guys called the Wild Bunch that ran out of the Northeast, and that all later evolved into a basic what became Pro Mod. Yeah, Bob Gasher, the Wild Bunch Jeep. Right, Dr. Wacko.
Huh. I still think it'd be cool. Somebody should race a Jeep. Somebody should build a Jeep race car.
You need to build a Jeep race car.
I don't need a Jeep race, but that's the last thing I need is another damn race car. I mean, it is one man need. I'll put a 215 in a Jeep.
Tommy Howes, that's right. First in the sixes, that's right. I was there for that race. That was crazy. I remember that.
Well, thank you, Joseph.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you very much.
Hey, Tony, I put my Miata mirrors on my the mirrors on my 72 Roadrunner with a center console F-150 switch.
Jim Hand, the guy that built an 11-second Pontiac station wagon, used a small funnel-like thing under his air cleaner and claimed it helped. Actually, yeah, that's a stock Eliminator. That's a stock Eliminator guy trick, yeah. They run a teardrop-shaped device that hangs directly over the top of the opening of the carburetor.
No, all right. So Jason Fitch is asking, Dallas, how often do you get asked how tall you are? Probably more on here than anywhere. I'm only 6'2", which is probably the average height for the majority of people, I guess. Maybe everybody's 6 foot is average. I'm not that tall. It looks different here because Tony he always wants the short seat. So I get stuck with the one that won't go down, right? So it's like literally up to the tabletop when I'm sitting on it.
I'm 5'10", 5'11". He's about 3 inches taller than me to begin with going in, so he looks bigger. Let's see. 5'10" is the average height for an American male. See, I'm an average.
I guess I'm above average. I'm not a giant John Wilbur. I met you. You guys are not. I don't think John Wilbur was that much shorter than me, was he?
He does that. See, Ari's saying, you look at your 6'5", and yeah, man, you do. You look like you're much taller than you actually are.
Yeah, probably. So I just got a weird body shape. Oh.
Yes, there were frogs. You hear all kinds of things, but probably frogs.
Yeah, it's been raining all day.
Yeah.
Like the entire day. It literally stopped probably about 20 minutes before Tony pulled up in my driveway.
Danny Boyd's 5'8" and pissed. What are you pissed about, bro? You can fit in stuff that the big guys can't, man.
I'm telling you, you get to ride a Sportster. You can own the cheap Harley Davidson.
Only Harley Davidson I ever had any desire for or any love for was the Sporties, man. And you know, the big guys they don't get to play with those.
I'm not 6'7". Tom Wilbur said I'm 6'7". All right.
Oh, it's because you're a ginger. You appear larger on film.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more pink and red up top, so I appear taller.
SS Dragon 666. Ha ha ha. Sportster. What do you got against Sportsters, bro?
Dallas racing Miata with the cue ball helmet would be awesome. Yeah, but I just paint a four-speed. I just paint a four-speed shit on the top of my head. Let's see.
SS Dragon says that's the old lady's bike. I honestly don't like big heavy motorcycles. I like light small bikes. That's just my thing. And a sports is anything but light. But you know, to each his own. Ruckboard says, the Miata going to get any cage or pipe work? No, it's just for autocross. Just for autocross. I'm not going to road race the car.
Andrew Button says it's not ginger, it's Hemi orange. I'm Hemi orange, huh?
And John Wilbur says you would be 6'8" if you stood up straight.
Yeah, probably. 6'9" in shoes.
I look like a Norton Commando man. I had a Norton Commando man. I had one for like a day, and I had a brick bike thing for a little while, right? So I had a couple of A65s. Yeah, so I was like, I gotta get a Norton Commando, right? So there was a guy in New Jersey selling one, and I drove out there and I bought the bike and I rode it home. And as I'm riding it home, I realized what kind of horrible mistake I had made, because the thing vibrates. Unless you've ever ridden a Norton Commando, there's no way to explain the level of vibration that happens at certain speeds, and it just so happens. Okay, so
those are all solid mounted too.
They're solid mounted. They're solid mounted, and it's a parallel twin, right?
Uh-huh.
And it has
parallel twin.
Yeah, it has these cycles of vibration that just happen to mate up perfectly with traffic speed. So like at 30, 35 miles an hour,
it's got like some harmonic.
Right? Then you get to like 40 or so and it smooths out, okay? It's all right. Then you get to like 55, 60, and you get to like 70, and you can't hold up. You can't ride for more than a couple of minutes. So I'm taking a hand off the handlebars because of the vibration.
Your hand is so vibrated.
Yeah.
Huh. 4 lug Craigers on the Miata. Good luck finding a set of those.
I find them, but the back spacing would have to be really, really extreme.
Did we just answer this question? What do you think of the AMC 401? Oh, man. Rewind about 20 minutes ago.
Norton Commando drag bikes are so cool. Yeah, I mean, listen, nothing against them except that I couldn't deal with that bike.
I always like the triple drag bikes. The triple drag bikes sound so badass. Yep. Especially like, you remember the Triumph triples? Was it Triumph?
Yes,
triples?
I don't like those at all.
No?
The Tridents?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, they sound good.
No, they don't. They sound terrible. Have you ever ridden one?
No.
For as long as you're riding it, you feel like it has a miss, even though it doesn't have a miss.
It's like, oh, this sucker's weak.
A two-stroke, a triple cylinder two-stroke, okay, is the perfect balance engine, right? It has one power stroke every 120 degrees of crankshaft rotation.
Right.
Okay, it's seamless, right? It's like I can explain. I can't explain it to you. A two-stroke triple is like riding a rubber band.
So what did the two-stroke?
Right?
How come they didn't? They don't do two-stroke street bikes anymore.
Well, wait.
Okay.
The three-cylinder four-stroke is the exact opposite.
Oh, because it's missing. It's it'd be almost twice as many revolutions.
It's
right?
not a natural
240
combination.
degrees.
Right. So it sounds weird and it feels weird.
The Triumphs were four-stroke?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I did not know that. They just sound so unique. But man, all those triples sound cool. Oh.
Olive says, with a slant, you might want light fat alloys up front, fat steelies out back to be flywheels through the flat spots. Because slant autocrossing, I don't know. The first thing, as soon as I got the car running, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a local autocross guy and say, take this car and tell me what it needs. Because I know nothing about it. So as soon as I've got it running and functioning under its own power, I'm going to get somebody who knows about autocross and knows about Miatas to drive the damn thing and tell me what I got to do with it.
So Mike in 32451 asks, car sputtered and died as I came to the turn light. Muncie 4-speed felt stuck in first, but car wouldn't budge when the clutch was let out. I yanked on it until it popped out. Seems okay now. What the fuck happened?
You've got a diaphragm clutch and the fingers are giving up.
Well, that's kind of ironic. This guy asked this question. Andrew, but wonder how a two-stroke slant six would sound.
We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and it's not possible.
It's not possible.
Yeah, the way the engine is designed, you couldn't put transfer ports in it.
Huh. Aluminum slots on the Miata. I think it needs something more 60s, like wires.
I agree.
Wire spokes.
I agree. The problem is, right, with the Miata now, is the wheels are way out, and it's got like 100% offset to the inside.
But can't you buy Dayton's even today?
Can't you buy what?
Dayton's.
They would stick out.
Well, you can buy them with offset that you want.
I don't think you get a wire wheel with that kind of offset. The wires would have to be straight up and down. They couldn't have a.
Oh yeah, there'd be no angularity to it.
Right. The hub, okay, is like flush with the side of the car.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons why they handle the way they do. Because it's short
so
and
wide. Yeah.
Right.
It's your Pontiac wide track applied to the Japanese road course car.
Mark Shaw says Dayton's like $2,800 a set. I know.
Yeah, you buy them used. Wire wheels are for racing from the 60s.
Yeah, knockoffs, the whole bit, man. My Miata thinks it's a Jaguar.
That's exactly what I think. If you're going to go Jag on it, go all in. Make it look like a Jag. Why can't we mold the headlights into the car?
Why? It's got the pop-ups.
Oh, that's still not as cool as the Jag headlights.
I love the pop-ups.
Do you?
Yeah.
Steelies with dog dishes would be cool too. I just don't. Maybe you can you get some custom-made Mopar police car wheels with the dog dish?
No, I would like to get if I could find some slots with that kind of offset. I think they would look cool. But again, it's not they don't really leave you many options because of the way that car is built. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you can't go hunting around for something that's just the right offset. It's like zero offset. It's just everything is to the inside.
Right. Well, I wonder if Mazda actually makes a wheel like for a minivan that would be badass that would fit on there. That would be simple and easy.
I have those Roto wheels on it. They're like $500 a set. They came with the car. I paid $200 for the car. I got a set of $500 wheels with brand new tires. So those are what's going to go on there for now. and then just to get the car up and running.
Uh-huh.
Well, what would we do after that? Henry has got Tony. Why don't you just paint the dash firewall white instead of paint? Because I want it to look kind of factory.
Plus, weren't you going to cover it in vinyl?
Yeah,
that's exactly what they would have done in the '60s in an old '60s sports car.
Exactly.
They actually probably been covered with pleather or vinyl, and they would have had gauges almost all the way across the dash.
Yeah, and the switch panel would have been made out of wood.
Olive saying they do not. Dallas, I again remind people, Treasure Coast Miata. They will know and have things.
Just make sure the driver's seat is comfy. Zero says inky wheels for the win.
You can probably get this. Inky's pretty cheap, right? For Mazda, I'm sure that Miata has the same bolt pattern as all the other Mazda cars.
Let me get the car together and paint it. Let me see what it looks like with those wheels that are on it. I don't know yet.
Shag carpet dash with wood trim. That sounds like it wins right there.
Kyle says Stacy David's Gears has that Banshee front clip. I like the stock NA front end. It's just with the little pop-up headlights like that. I just love it. And somebody put a. I was on the road coming back from the shop the other day, and there's a Miata, an NA Miata with pop-up headlights coming at me, and somebody put a skinny light bar in the grill opening, and I swear to God, it looks exactly like a smiling face with teeth. So yeah, I'm not going to touch the front of the car. I love the way the front of the car looks. The white fire looks so fucking clean. Yeah. I like the white. Hey, we're gonna wrap it up. Oh my God, look what time it is.
Oh man, it's almost 2 hours. Hey, so we got to plug some stuff because that's how we stay on the air.
Yeah. What do we got to plug?
ahraonline.com. Become a member. Become a fan member. Buy some merch.
So, how many of you guys want to see an AHRA channel that deals with like drag racing history from the glory days, the 1960s and the 1970s, and all of this stuff? Lions drag strip and the
B-lines and Gary, Indiana, US 30. And
right. How many of you guys would want to see a YouTube channel dedicated to the glory days of drag racing, so that like the AHRA and all that stuff would happen? How many of you guys would sub to that? That would be killer. That's why I suggest don't forget to look at the doorway. That would be awesome. Yes, hell yes, yeah, right. Plug the new Ultra Cathy kitchen. Yes, good days of drag racing. Do it. Yes, do it. See, yeah, okay. Everybody wants to see that. I'm in. Yes, would love a channel like that. Make it happen. Well, I told him last week after we finished the show. I says, come to the shop and set up a studio at the shop. Okay. And you do the contemporary AHRA stuff, the newsletter. You do a video newsletter, and I'll do the historic stuff because I'm a drag racing history bug, right? And he still hasn't done it.
Oh well, hold on. Let's be fair.
Not being fair. It was a whole week. A whole week went by, and I told you to come to the shop and set up a studio.
I had a racing event. I didn't even get home till Monday. So I mean,
you couldn't have sent one of your minions.
No, I don't have any minions. I'm a one-man show.
This is a problem, Dallas.
Let's see.
Thank you, Go Garage.
I like when they used to race muscle cars with less mods. Yeah, I agree. I created a class just for that.
Look, you said they've got 100 subs right here.
Yeah, and I'll be on John Wilburn's channel too. He's interviewing me.
Okay, awesome.
So, in June, yeah. So, big block Buick and a 61 to 63 Scott. No, actually, Tedesco 455. I was thinking about doing that myself. I thought about a backup super stock motor being a 400 Buick. I think it's actually pretty easy.
All right. So
Bob Ganshaw, you want me to bring back GT Class again?
Zero is insisting that I accept the shroud. I cannot accept the shroud, Zero. I cannot accept it. All right. So ahraonline.com, and this week Dallas is making a promise to you guys right now that he'll be at my shop this week to set up a studio to get this channel going.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough.
Are you promising them?
I can do it. I'll set up. I'll set up the studio.
You'll set up the broadcast studio for the new AHRA online YouTube channel. And you've already got 100 subs right here.
I already have a YouTube channel as well, matter of fact, but it's just I didn't put anything but announcing that hey, I was doing it. And man, for like a couple of days it went berserk, and then I didn't do anything. So
that's all right.
Right.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna have 100,000 subs in 6 months.
100,000, huh?
In 6 months.
Wow.
I absolutely guarantee it. All right.
All righty. Well, then we'll see you next week.
Yes. And I guess, we'll plug stuff.
We'll visit Uncle Tony's garage and get yourself one of them new, the kick-ass shirts from the, this is sketchy even by my standards.
Check out the stuff on our store. So, all right, listen, our mods, Zero, Ari, John, Fubar, thank you so much, guys. As always, awesome. Thanks to everybody who contributed Super Chat. You know, you're what keeps the wheels turning over here. Thank you. And everybody contributed with just good conversation. We got the best people on YouTube.
I know. And this is always fun. Like, we always have the most fun conversations on this thing.
We have the best people in all of YouTube are right here on our lives.
Yeah, right? For sure. All right. Well, we'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you Sunday night. And we'll see you next Wednesday from the new AHRA online broadcast.
Oh, maybe. Well,
you promised them.
No. I'm just saying your studio. You don't have any wireless out there. Wi-Fi.
We'll have wireless. You just find out what we need and I'll get it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yep.
All right. That's it, guys. We'll see you. We'll see you. I don't even know when I'm going to see you. We'll see you very soon. Good night, all.
See you later.
All right, and it's over. Boom.